Hi, I'm Steve Ferman, and I'm a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Boom, boom, pow. What's up now? Yeah, that's right. You're here. I'm here. We're here for results. Welcome to another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. Today, we're joined by Mr. Steve Ferman. He's the founder of 4-Pillar Coach. He is a scaling up coach and a graduate of the Master's Program for Entrepreneurs from Strategic Coach. And as you all know, or maybe you don't, I am a big fan of Strategic Coach. Let's jump in with Steve. Steve, welcome to the show. You ready to do this thing?
Yeah, Jonathan, thanks for having me.
Glad you're here, brother. And everybody wants to know, what book have you given most as a gift?
Well, two, actually. Scaling Up, because I'm a certified Scaling Up coach, and The Prosperous Coach by Steve Chandler and Rich Litvin.
Excellent. And I don't think anybody, well, I think we've heard, that's Vern Harnish. Is that scaling?
Yep, Vern Harnish for Scaling
right.
Up, correct.
Cool. We've heard that one a couple times, but The Prosperous Coach is a new one. So thank you for bringing that to us. So here is where we begin to have some fun. Tell us a story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
Well, there's been many. And I think one of the benefits of being around for 40 years is you have lots of failures and successes. Hopefully learn from them all. I would say biggest failure would be when I merged my companies after 33 years and I didn't do proper diligence, and it turned out not to be a good thing after a year, and we ended up separating. So that was probably my biggest failure, quote unquote. But I learned a lot from that failure. It taught me humility, taught me it's okay to fail. And as long as you learn from your mistakes, which I've done.
And you were able to unwind it. Now, was that difficult?
Oh, no, it wasn't. I wish it was an unwind. It was more like I didn't realize you could be fired as an owner of a company, but I owned 26% of a company and they let me go a year later because what I didn't do was good due diligence and understanding. That was their plan from the get-go. They wanted my awesome name, CloudMation, an environment that I had, and my IT company of almost 33 years. I was blinded by the dollar signs. I can't lie. And 55, I'm going to retire. This is it, man. It's going to be great. Yeah. So my lesson learned there is really, really look under every rock. Really make sure that you're aware of what the potentials are.
What would you say is the most worthwhile investment that you've ever made?
You're going to love this one. I have these things on the back of my case. They're readers. They're called thin optics, and they're just reader glasses. They're $19, but it's the best investment under $100 I ever made. Thin optics, they come in all kinds of different shapes and sizes and holders. And for a guy or anyone over the 50s that just needs reading glasses, it's always good to have them handy.
You're right. Nobody's ever said reading glasses. And I wrote it down as I'm like, I think my wife would really like those. That sounds cool. So appreciate that. And let's think back. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
So funny. It took me 2.5 years of litigation to settle my lawsuit for my debacle with my company. And I spent a lot of time blaming everyone else for what had happened to me. It was everybody else's fault but mine. And the reality is it was all my fault. So for me, it was learning how to give forgiveness and thanks and being humble and just grateful for what I have. Every day I wake up, I put my feet on the floor, and before I go anywhere, I stop and I give thanks for my health, my wealth, my wife, my children, and I pray for those that are suffering and less fortunate. And I ask God, whoever's up there, I'm not a big religious guy, but whoever the higher being is, to allow me to help at least one person today. And ever since I started doing that, it's just totally changed my life.
All right. So I want to play a game with you here. A lot of people say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And you're telling me at 55, you learned a whole new level of forgiveness and humility. Were you forced into that through this situation, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I think the situation, I think I was either naive to it or I had a big ego. I don't know what you want to call it. But yeah, I think the situation really, put me in check, gave me some inner understanding of what's really important in life. Taking ownership and responsibility transparently is such an important thing to learn. And I live by it now. I'm just grateful every day to be alive and be here. And I love to help people. If I get to help somebody today, that's an awesome day.
So it sounds like you got some perspective. So what's important in life to you today?
Helping people one client at a time. Maybe it's a whole company at a time with my coaching, but it's just helping people. It's just that simple.
Why? Why does that matter?
I don't know. I just feel this innate need to want to be able to help people. Now, it can be good and bad because, when I was in my tech world, my job was to fix it. If something's broke, what do? You fix it. So we did for 40 years. And as a business coach, my job is not to fix it. My job is to be the outside perspective and listen and ask lots of questions to help that person or that company or those executives come to the realization of what they really need to do in order to move themselves forwards, to grow, to scale. So it's important to me to be able to do that. And I practice every day. I wouldn't say I'm perfect. There's times I catch myself going, don't just tell them what to do.
How frustrating is it as a coach, because we've heard this on the show many times, to feel like you know the answer and to try to guide them to find the answer, but maybe they don't take action on it?
Well, basically, I think the right answer is that, or at least my answer is, you just ask more questions. Keep asking questions, dig deep, and keep digging deeper and deeper. And eventually, it's like epiphany. It's like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. But I'm not the one telling them. Is it easy? And it's like anything else. It's a learned skill. I am a student of life, ABL man, always be learning. I read books constantly. I try and learn constantly how to be a better coach, how to be a better person. And you really got to not be the fixer, not give the answers. And I'll tell you, to be fair, I got to give some credit to EO Entrepreneurs Organization, because we have a thing called Gestalt, which is the weirdest word I've ever heard. It's basically, instead of answering somebody's or providing a solution, you just share an experience that you can relate to, and it helps that person a lot more than just giving them an answer. Hey, do this. Hey, do that.
What would you say are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
Not really bad recommendations as much as just bad posers. People out there claiming to be a coach, people that have no real true experience or haven't, like me, spent a year going through certification and learning an actual methodology. It's more maybe just posers out there instead of people that really haven't walked the walk and talked the talk.
How do we know who's who? How do you pick a good coach? How do you find somebody that is not a poser?
Do your research. Do your research. Speak to some of their clients. Check out and make sure they have. Look, a lot of it is culture fit. So make sure they have the same core values as you do. Make sure they believe in at least what they're doing. That's important. People can pretend to believe in it, but you can tell. You can really kind of weed them out. Just ask a lot of questions and definitely do your research on them. Look them up on LinkedIn. Check out, see if they've been giving any good information, if they're helpful, or are they just out to get money and get clients and not actually provide any real true benefits. But I think the biggest thing is do your research.
Keep saying asking a lot of questions. How do we know we're asking the right questions?
I think, to be honest, sometimes you don't always ask the right questions, but sometimes that's what also helps them find the answer. You try and ask the right questions to get a better understanding or to maybe bring out what they're not able to see at the time. Tell me more about that. And why does it make you feel that way? Things like that. It sounds almost like a psychologist to a certain extent, but I think that's one of the best qualities of someone that does any kind of work with the mind, we'll call it psychology, is that they give you the space and the freedom to actually explore things and dig into your own psyche.
I've heard this time and time again, how being a good coach is like being a psychologist. What's the difference between a coach and a psychologist? Do you need one or both?
You might need both. I don't know. It depends on you. But I think the biggest comparison you hear a lot about, what's the difference between a mentor and a coach? And a mentor really does teach and guide you along, whereas a coach really is more of a sounding board that will use certain tools to help you get through your issues or to define your brand promise or what sandbox you play in, who's your right fit customer, whatever.
Do you find yourself bouncing back and forth? Are you always playing the coach role or sometimes coach, sometimes mentor? Where do you fit in there?
Ironically, I do some mentoring in Entrepreneurs Organization as well as I coach in EOA, the accelerator program. So to be in EO, you got to do $1 million in gross sales or more. To be in EOA, the accelerator program, it's $250,000 up to $1 million, and we're trying to help them grow and scale their businesses to over $1 million and higher. And I coach in EOA as well as I mentor in a thing called GSEA, which is Global Student Entrepreneur Awards. So I was like, what the hell is it? And I do mentor them in giving their presentations. And that's more guidance and help in how to present and that type of stuff.
Are you enjoying the interview? Yeah, I had to jump in here for a second and ask you, if you've been listening for a while and you haven't subscribed to this show, why not? Go to wherever you listen to podcasts, type in Results Leader FM, and hit the subscribe button. That way you never miss another episode. Now that we got that out of the way, let's jump back into the interview. Let's talk about results, man. Why do results matter, Steve?
It's not measured, really doesn't count if you ask me. I think having goals, having metrics, having KPIs, key performance indicators, gives us not only something to strive for. I'm a very competitive person. I've played sports my whole life. I've always, like a golf shot, for instance, I always have a target in mind. Even if it's a wide open fairway, I pick like the 150 flag and that's my target. So if you're not aiming at something, how are you going to hit it? I think it's really important to have goals and to have measurables that you can track. The real secret is to not fall into what Dan Sullivan of the strategic coach calls the gap. And the gap is when you're so busy chasing the horizon that you get a little bit, I wouldn't say defeated, but maybe a little depression here and there, or just like you're not reaching it. And you really should stop on a regular basis and look behind you and see how far you've come, because that gives you the energy to go a little bit further and to go out to the next metric that you're working on.
Have you been a strategic coach, or are you reading Dan's books, or The Gap in the Gain is one of the core lessons? So that's why I'm curious.
Wait, The Gap in the Gain? You mean this book right here?
Don't go like that. I'll start getting all my Sullivan books.
I have it on my desk because that's the book I'm actually reading right now. I spent 12 years at the strategic coach. My last 7 were under Dan Sullivan's trainings.
Nice. I did 5 years in coach. I only stopped going to coach when they started going virtual, and I couldn't sit on a Zoom call for hours. I was like, no, I'll pull my hair out.
Yeah, it's an all-day event, right? Well,
on the computer. Coaching. Yeah.
It did a lot for me. I really learned a lot. I'm a 6'3", those of you out there don't know what that means, but I need fact finder. I'm a low follow through, meaning I'm not the guy to do the stuff. I make all the waves and someone else cleans it up and follows up after me like a VA or whoever. I am a quick start of 7 and I'm an implementer 6, which is a high. So I can basically take a little bit of information and make things happen, but I love to have some facts.
Yeah.
I ask questions.
That makes sense. I think I haven't looked at my Colby in forever. I think it was 6734. Quick start is not in my wheelhouse, but let's look at the last 5 years. Share what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients.
Process and metrics will set you free. And it sounds kind of corny. I think it's a well overlooked subject that people don't take the time to write processes and procedures out and to have, like, we have a PACE chart, which is a process accountability chart. And basically it's about who's responsible for what processes and how do they relate to the P&L and the balance sheet. Same thing with a FACE chart, function accountability chart. How many times have you heard someone say, why did that order get out? Oh, Joe takes care of that stuff. And Joe's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So now nobody's taking care of that stuff, which is bad. Or 2 people are working on the same job. You're sharing things. So I think that process and metrics will absolutely set you free.
Let's talk about your business. What area of your business would you like to see better results?
I think this is common for a lot of people. The whole week, resignation's been an issue, finding people, that kind of thing. For me, it's acquiring new clients that will let me help them. And I have I think a pretty cool brand promise. My brand promise is if I don't provide measurable results, you pay me what you think I provided or don't pay me at all. So you got nothing to lose by seeing what I can actually do for you. Thank the Lord. I've been very beneficial, or I should say blessed, in getting great, what we call NPS scores, net promoter scores, things back where clients are thanking me for actually helping them or changing their life or saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Where do you use the NPS? Where do you use that survey?
Where or when?
Like, where in the process? Is it during your engagement, after the engagement? Where do you use that?
If it's one-on-one coaching, I'll do it during our engagement. After maybe a call, I'll send an NPS score. I typically send one out a month. With companies and corporations, I send them out on a monthly basis to the whole exec team, as well as the CEO or president of the company I'm working with.
I'm just, that was for my own curiosity. I haven't used one in a while.
Well, it's good to get a measurement. I mean, the reality is I don't really have a team short of my virtual assistant and my marketing team, but I don't really have a bunch of people that I work with. So it's hard to measure how well you are or are not doing, short of, unless, they get a windfall of $10 million sale because something you did. How do you really tie it directly? And then, and I ask people to be totally transparent. I want to know when I'm not doing things right or when I failed anywhere, so I can try and be better.
What results are you most proud of?
I'm proud of a lot of things, but I think the results I'm most proud of is that I don't quit. I'm like, I'm a Marine. Literally, I was in the Marine Corps 4 years, and I don't quit. And I think what I'm most proud of is the fact that I get back up no matter what happens, and I keep on fighting, man. And I think that's really key, especially in these rough times we're having now. You got to get back up and just keep on swinging.
Any parting thoughts you'd like to share with the results leaders who are listening to us right now?
If you want it, plan it, get your strategy right, execute it, and go get it. It's really, anything is out there for the taking for anyone that really wants to work hard and earn it. If you think it's just going to come to you, well, maybe some of you are that lucky. Good for you. But for the rest of us normal people, we work hard and we get the results because we plan it, we strategize it, we execute it, we go get it, man.
Man, I dig that. That resonates with me, and I hope we pull that for a power clip. Are you listening, team? That's awesome. I know that our listeners are going to want to connect with you. Where can they go?
They go to www.4pillarcoach.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Steve Ferman, Ferman.
We will be sure to share links to both on the show notes. We've been speaking with Mr. Steve Ferman. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. And thank you, results leaders, for tuning in.
Thanks, Jonathan.
That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next
one. This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.